All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin this video by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Quadash, the abundance of the apostles and the elders of the great millstone, and Shalom to the Lord's elect, beginning with the 144,000. This is a Ratzazah from the Great Millstone GMS Atlanta camp with another video. All right, this video is going to be a response to the video you see on your screen from a comedian. It goes by the name Godfrey, as you see there in the I believe I got this video off of Instagram. In the caption there, it says Godfrey says black people are told to forget history. All right, and yeah, this is this video just caught my attention some days back. And I thought it was interesting how basically what he's bringing out is the truth, how the scriptures basically tell us that our enemies, all right, because we do have enemies, all right, enemies being these other nations, starting with the so-called white man, all right, which will get those scriptures, in particular, Psalms, the 83rd chapter. We have enemies that essentially want to keep us down. All right, by us, which in this video he's referring to just so-called Negroes, so-called blacks, but really all the tribes. All right, because the Israelites consist of these so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native and Seminole Indians, and it's the goal of these Edomites and these nations, to basically keep us docile, to keep us dysfunctional, to keep us from, tapping into our full potential. To basically to keep us at a certain level, so I'm gonna play the video. It's only about probably a minute or so long, and I'll get some scriptures. All right, Lord willing, the volume and everything is working.
We're like the only race of people. We're like the only race of people that they tell us to forget our history. Everybody else to be like, we're going to let you know so it doesn't repeat itself. Don't you forget that shit. That shit's not going to happen. Every other person. And then they'll all ask us to support them.
Yes.
In their plight.
Yep.
They just want us to continue to entertain, give them creative ideas so they can steal all of that shit.
Yes.
We are the only motherfuckers that they tell to forget about our history. The shit is so disgusting.
It's disgusting.
When you go to a doctor's office, what's the first thing they do? They pull out your medical history.
Right.
Because we have to assess what is happening now. We got to look back and see, okay, let's see what happened. You were last time you were here, this happened.
Right.
That's how you're able to move forward. They don't use that same philosophy on African American or African history. We are so deeply hated. They hate us so much.
Right, it's so true.
And if they're not making money off of, if they're not benefiting sexually, monetarily, culturally, they don't think of us as human beings.
All right, so
We're like the only race of people that they tell.
All right, so hopefully you was able to hear that. And yeah, he's right on point. That's a great observation. Yeah, that's what these devils do. They don't. It's the way he said. They said that they hate us, and they only use us to make money when it comes to music and sports, athletics, and things of that nature. But they don't want to tell us the truth, and then they don't want us to go back into history, and they don't want to tell us our history, because the further you go back in history, you basically start to unearth, or you start to dig up the truth. The further you go back in time, you start finding out the truth about things. And what scripture, as he was talking, what scripture came to mind was Job 8:8. Let's get that real quick. All right, this is the book of Job, chapter 8, in verse 8. It says, "For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. For we are but of yesterday, and know nothing, because our days upon earth are a shadow." Right, so our minds are being prepared, and we're being prepared to search out our fathers, meaning what? To search out our history. all right, to find out about the past. Is actually another one, which is to ask thy father, he will tell thee. All right, yeah. This is actually the one I wanted, but Job 8:8 was good. This Deuteronomy 32:7. It says, remember the days of old. See that? So this is a direct contradiction of what these devils are trying to push on our people, man. By if the past is the past, forget about the history, or they try to keep the history hidden. Especially when it comes to so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, because they know that all the atrocities and wickedness that's been done to our people, so they try to cover it up because they know they know that they're guilty, but they know that, as I stated earlier, the further you go back in time, the more truth that you find. See, over time, the so-called white man's being able to lie, he's been able to whitewash the history, change the narrative. That's why we call him the devil. But when you start to dig up the archives and read about what really happened and read about who our people really are, all right, you start to come up on a lot of gems, man, and they don't like that. Because their power, the power that they have, is all established upon lies. Okay, lies, cheating. Which Lord willing, we'll get into those scriptures. But this is Deuteronomy 32:7. Again, it says, remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. See that? So yes, we're supposed to look back at the past and know about the history. All right. So you're supposed to ask those those who are of age, those who, live through certain things. And then they ask their elders and they pass down the history. They pass down stories, and you learn about where we came from. All right. And more and more Jakes are finding out about the history. That's why, like brothers say now, it's common knowledge to know that you're a Hebrew Israelite. That's like no longer a big secret like it was, years ago. Now that's common knowledge now. You always hear about the Hebrew Israelites. Why? Because people are beginning to, well, first of all, foremost, the prophets are out there on the highways and byways teaching the word. The men of the Lord are being seen, but people are beginning to search out the past, and the truth is coming out. And that's also a sign that this man's world is coming to an end. The man I'm talking about is Esau, Edom. All right, because the scriptures speak about how when the gospel is spread throughout the four corners of the earth, then shall the end come. So the fact that you got people waking up to the fact that the Israelites, the fact that a Hebrew Israelite is no longer, something that's, not as popular. Nah, it's out there now. So that's a sign that this man is about to be brought down. But yeah, going back to the point, Deuteronomy 32:7, the past is supposed to be brought back to mind, but Esau wants to cover, which you know that Esau is the so-called white man. Esau wants to cover up the past, man. Okay, because he knows that once our people fully awaken, which only the elect in this time is going to be awakened, but once a particular group of Israelites fully awaken and fully have this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, it's over for him. All right, that's why when you read what's that? The book of Revelation, is that Revelations 11 about the great army. Let's see if we can get that. Revelations 11 and yeah, it says I think it says like after 3 days and a half. Yeah, let's jump down to verse 11. Right, this is Revelations, or the book of Revelation 11 and 11. It says, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High into them. The 3 days and a half, which we go into this breakdown, time and time again, it represents a period of 350 years. All right, roughly from about 1619 or 1620. All right, we was brought here as slaves. All right, to Babylon the Great. All right, was also known as America, to about 1969, 1970. Basically, when the truth began to come out at a high level. All right, that's when the spirit of life entered into our people, and we began to learn that we're Israelites. Even though prior to that, certain of our people knew that there was Israelites, and they was following the small hats. That was the beginning of it, but it didn't fully. It didn't fully come about until Elder Abba Bivens. All right, which the apostles and elders, they always give us the history on that. When they basically began to teach the Old and New Testament, all right, as well as the Apocrypha. They gave the whole understanding of the book. That came about in 1970. And I believe that's the year when the school started as well. All right. So that's when the spirit of life entered into us. And it says what? It says, reading on, it says, and they stood upon their feet. See that? Meaning we the Most High raised us out of that dead, lost state. Okay. So we started learning about Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. We started learning the names, calling ourselves Israelites. We started identifying ourselves by the tribes. That's how we stood upon our feet, because why? We were basically in a low state, a low lost, basically a dead state, right? It says, and they stood upon their feet. Here's the main point. It says, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. All right. Now, who's the them that fear fell upon? Let's talk about our enemies, starting with the so-called white man, our arch nemesis. Esau and the nations were fearful. Why? Because they knew, all right, damn, it's a wrap now. It's over for us, man, because these people who we try to keep down and keep oppressed, keep in a stupefied state, they figured it out now. The spirit, they got the spirit of life in them. So they fear because they know that basically the clock is ticking. All right. So let's go from there to what was the other one? Was it Judith? I'm trying to see which one I want to go to first. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's go there. Let's go to Judith. I think it's 5:19. Because this has always been a thing with the other nations, with the oppositions, is to always keep us separated from our power, because they know that they can get the advantage and they can have leverage over us. If we stay in a position where we're not attached to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right. So I think it's Judith 5:19, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So this is the book of Judith, chapter 5, right? Just to give a brief synopsis. This is when I believe Israel was going to war with the Assyrians. And one of the generals, I think his name was Holo Fernez, I think is how you pronounce his name. Like Holo Fernez. Yeah, you see there in verse 1, then it was declared to Holofernes, the chief captain of the army of Ashur, that the children of Israel had prepared for war and had shut up the passages of the hill country and had fortified all the tops of the high hills and laid impediments in the campaign countries. So yeah, so this guy was like a military general of the Assyrians. He was basically getting briefed by a guy named Achior, all right, which I believe was an Ammonite, and he was given the general. He was giving them a briefing on our people, what we about, where we from. He was basically telling them, look, you can get leverage over the Israelites if they're detached from their power. But if they be on the Most High side, you can't beat them. So that's basically what he's telling them. But I'm going to just read it anyway. This is Judith 5. And getting to the point, verse 19. It says, but now, excuse me, verse 20. Judah 5 and 20. Now, therefore, my Lord and governor, if there be any error against this people, right? People speaking about the nation of Israel, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up and we shall overcome them. See that? So this nigga, this nigga named Achior, all right, knew. He was, like I said, he was briefing this this governor or this general that, look, if you're going to go to war with these Israelites, you got to get them when they've sinned against their power, because the Most High is not going to be on their side, and then we can overcome them and we can win the war. All right. This is the mind frame of these Edomites. They know if they keep our people snared in black culture, all right, hip hop, black culture, thug life, city girls, bad bitches, I think I said it already, thug gangster life, gangs, shiesty mask, and all that madness. Yeah, drugs, bad diet, all of these things, man. If they keep that, if they can keep us in that warped state, they'll always have the upper hand on us. Now, verse 21, it says, but if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them and their power be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. See that? So you tell them, look, if they, now on the flip side, if they not going off, and they are attached to their power, all right, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, then the Heavenly Father is going to defend them, and we ain't going to win a damn thing. See that? So Esau knows that. So that's why, just going back to Revelations 11, when it says that, the spirit of life had entered into them, they stood upon their feet. Excuse me. And it says great fear fell upon them which saw them, because they know, like, damn, look, we ain't gonna be able to rule over them for much longer. If they're standing up, they're calling themselves Israelites, they're following those statutes, commandments, putting their faith in the names of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Damn, we ain't gonna be able to keep running the same play no more. Eventually we're gonna lose, man. See that? So just going back to the video with Godfrey, he's making that observation that we the only people that are not allowed to go back in the past and learn about our history. You got these other nations that could do that all day, because there's no real threat to that. They don't give a damn about them, but you're a so-called black person that wants to know the truth about your past, or Hispanic or Native American. It's offensive to them. Why? Because they know that's, you getting the truth means something bad happening to them. All right. So let's go from there. We'll probably close on Psalms 83. I think that was the last one I had. Yeah, that was the point. Psalms 83 pretty much sums it up, brings the point home. All right, Psalms 83, and I'll really start at the top, if I'm not mistaken. Right. Psalms 83 and 1. It says, keep not thou silence, O power, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, verse 2, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Right, speaking about these other nations, which is going to list them by name, who the enemies of the Lord and who the enemies of our people are. Yeah, and they lift up the head, which represents being prideful. All right. In verse 3, it says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Right, the Israelites. So these nations, they get in these conferences and they get in these dark rooms, sitting at a damn round table, and they actually consult on how to, basically how to come against us, how to bring us down. All right. Especially the prophets, this ministry. But really just Jake as a whole, as a nation, our people, but they really want to try to attack this ministry and how they can bring this ministry down. All right. Verse 4, it says, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Right. And that pretty much is the point right there. That's the whole MO of these damn nations, man. Esau being at the top of the goddamn list, and the other nations, the whole goal and objective. How do we wipe out these Israelites, man? How do we get rid of these niggas? Right? Even though they benefit, like Godfrey said in the video, yeah, they benefit off us. They make money, but they really want to cut us off, man, and really just do away with the whole name of Israel. They ain't talking about no goddamn small hats either. Which we all know, brothers who may watch this video, we already know that. But I'm talking about for the person who's on the outside that may stumble upon, that may come across this video somehow. Right? This ain't talking about no goddamn small hats, so you can understand. No, it's talking about our people, man. So-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. They want to do away with the name of Israel. Right? So verse 5, it says, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom. See that? Who's Edom? Edom is the so-called white man, the children of Esau, the Edomites. It says, and the Ishmaelites, which is the so-called Arabs, of Moab, which is the Chinese, and the Hagarenes. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Hagarenes, they come out of Ham, if I'm not mistaken. All right. And then it goes on. It basically it drops names. It tells you. So we got ops, all right. As Jake says nowadays, man, we got ops, we got oppositions, we got enemies, people that want to just utterly destroy us, come against us, keep us down, keep us in captivity, make money off us, but they don't give a damn about us, man. And us getting the truth is power. Right? And once we have power, we got Yahweh Shem Yahushua in our corner, and he's showing us favor, we are literally unstoppable, man. And these nations know that. Right? So that's why they keep, advertising to you or market to you unclean diet. Right? You got a damn liquor store, which ain't nothing wrong with drinking, but it's good but scriptures speak about doing it in moderation. But you got liquor store in every goddamn corner, bad diet. They push negative music on you. They teach women to be masculine and evil. Basically, they push a culture of being dysfunctional, right? But you got us that are that are countering that with the spirit of the Lord, and they don't want that, So that was pretty much the main point. I just wanted to do a quick response to that video. All right, with Godfrey, a couple of scriptures. I know there's other ones you can get, like Psalms 80. What's that? Psalm 62, I think. That's another good one. Psalm 62 and 4, which is they consult to cast him down from his excellency. I think. Let's see if that's it. Yeah. Psalms 62 and 4. It says they only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly, Salah. Right. They consult to cast him down from his excellency. You could apply this to the nation of Israel as a whole. All right. These nations, these devils, these heathens, they come together to try to cast us down from excellency. Another word for excellency, I think you go into this word in Hebrew. It means another word for excellency is a perfection. So they try to keep us from reaching our true potential, keep us from achieving that perfection in Yahweh Shem Yahushua. By what? Telling lies, man. See that? That's why it says in the next portion of the verse, they delight in lies. See? Telling you black. Telling you, yeah, even in the video, he mentioned how he keeps saying Africa. That's the only thing he went off on, really. He kept mentioning Africa, African. I think the video was like from a Pan-African channel. Let me see. Yeah, see? Pan-African lifestyle. Esau likes that. Esau likes when you attach yourself to Africa. Yeah, African. Yeah, Africa. But we're not Africans. All right? That's another topic for another video. All right? We are not Africans. The actual Africans are Hamites. Now, you do got those of the nation of Israel that live in Africa, of course, because we're scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, but we're not Africans, right? We're Israelites. But those are the lies that Esau has pushed out there. See? To keep you from knowing the truth about who you really are. All right? So yeah, that was the main point. All right. Yeah, so pretty much Godfrey, he basically hit it on the head, man. All right, we got enemies, they hate us, they don't want us to know our history, and they just want to keep us down, man. But the truth has, went throughout the four corners of the earth. We've been awakened, we're standing upon our feet. We got this truth, and it's not a damn thing these devils can do about it. So, all right, with that, I'm going to sign off. Lord willing, you was edified by this video. Giving all praise and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem, Rachak, Wadash. And Lord willing, to the next video, I'll say Shalom.